So yes, so 3 films, 2 series, another coming soon in a month. Eternals, another smaller title for Marvel to bring to the big screen, but a big crew in this film. A team of 37 superheroes. It's like 9.
I should say, I don't remember.
And they're trying to do them all. Written and directed by Chloe Zhao.
Yeah.
Off her Oscar, well, not off her Oscar. She was working on this already, but she won Best Picture for Nomadland.
Mm-hmm.
And so she is jumping in the superhero pool with this. And a lot of names in this film. Let's run them down real quick. Gemma Chan, Richard Madden, Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, Kit Harrington, Kumail Nanjiani, Brian Tyree Henry, Barry Keoghn. It's a laundry list of stars and an unconventional list of heroes, air quotes. 2.5 hours long. I will remind everyone that you and I traditionally do not talk about these films before now. But I saw you came out of the street after me, and I saw you talking to the studio rep. How accurate was your body language, Ryan?
Well, I would probably have to say it was very accurate. You know, I didn't think that there would come a time where I would be like, okay, let's just stop. Let's stop doing superhero movies. And I don't necessarily really feel that way, but to me, the Eternals, while it does feel different than most of the Marvel films,
yes, it does.
It doesn't necessarily feel different in a way that actually works. There was, I think, inevitably what happens when we're dealing with comic book characters is the DC and Marvel or whatever or the various comic book houses, whatever they were at the time, were always ripping each other off.
Yeah.
And there are aspects of the Eternals that just go too much into what I've already seen, either from other Marvel shows or from DC shows.
Right.
They're very straightforward about the fact that, we have a Superman character in this, and he is very much Superman. The irony being, he's the Superman that everyone hated in the Superman films that DC made. So anyway, and we have a Wonder Woman character. We have just, again, a lot of it just feels like, that's your second version of this, or that's your, other, and there's a reason, why people have been like, well, do we need a Fantastic Four? Because isn't the Thing just the Hulk, or whatnot? And there will be people who argue, no, of course not. This is his origin story. This is how they're different and whatnot. But fundamentally, a lot of these characters that are in the Eternals are characters that we've already kind of seen.
No. Yeah.
And, and their powers are things that we've kind of already seen. They're kind of like the greatest hits of comic books,
Mm-hmm.
Person can run fast, person's a Superman character. Again, it's a lot of it's just like,
I think the most original character in this is Sprite.
Yes, and there's some interesting
that character.
There's some interesting stuff that they do with Sprite as well. But there is a lot of this film that just feels like a soap opera as well.
Yes, because this has like an overt love story.
And there's numerous layers, because the Eternals, as you may have guessed, well, they're kind of eternal, or they go on and on and on. So they have hundreds and hundreds of years of relationship that they unpack in this movie. And they don't do it clumsily, but it's almost
perfunctory.
The whole movie to me felt really redundant.
Okay.
But I will say, and talking to some people afterwards, I think what it sets up could be exciting.
Yes.
But it itself never is exciting.
All right. All right, you know what? Let me give you something here. I don't know if you saw my Twitter thread from that night.
No, I
all right, it's five tweets. Each one makes a very short point about the film, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree.
All right.
So, first tweet after the introduction: far better than the trailers indicated. Important because the trailers were garbage.
Yeah.
Okay. That's easy.
I can say yes, it's better than garbage.
Okay. Chloe Zhao directed her large cast with an eye towards character development over story development. Not that the story was deficient, but her priorities showed.
Maybe to a fault. I can agree. I don't think it's a strength in this case.
But her priority was clearly on that. 3, Marvel needs to decide who their big bad is going forward. Is it Kang, a la Loki? Is it the Celestials? Who is it? The Marvel villain issue remains.
Yes. Although this would point you, well, and I guess that's the problem. This points you in a very definitive direction.
Yes, right at the end. Yes, it does. It basically states, "I'll be back."
Yeah.
So you're right. Exactly. Okay.
But then it is. But yes, then the question becomes, well, then what is Loki? Where does Loki fit into this universe? And I guess there's the tendency to say, well, one was a movie and one was just a TV show, so we have to go with what was in the movie.
But that TV show we've already established is going to bleed into Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So
I know.
They changed the logo up, and it now looks a lot like the writing and the iconography of the Eternals. So that's an observation. Okay. 4. I'd rather this be the jumping off point for Phase 4 than Shang-Chi because this movie is better than that one easily.
No.
Okay, that's fine. I think you liked Shang-Chi more than I did. I'm not saying it's easily, but I had a low bar with Shang-Chi. Last one. Wish we'd have gotten more Dane Whitman, but we do seem to get a voice cameo of a familiar face at the end. It's a fun watch, and you have to stay till the end. That was the last one. I do wish we'd have gotten more Dane Whitman. I
don't know that it's fun. I think that's part of my problem. It wasn't fun.
Not fun enough.
Well, and there wasn't anything in there that we really hadn't seen before. Yeah, I mean, Sprite. There's some interesting stuff with that character. But it's essentially the old vampire story about who in their right mind would make a 12-year-old a vampire.
I actually had the Kirsten Dunst in my head.
Yes, so that's
what we were talking about. But they used the Peter Pan analogy.
There is the Peter Pan analogy, but this is different, I think, because Peter Pan, even in Peter Pan, there's the sense that Peter Pan eventually does grow up. He leaves, Neverland, or anyway. But I've always thought that if I were to write a Peter Pan movie, which everyone has written a Peter Pan movie, but mine would essentially be that Peter Pan eventually becomes Hook. That the evolution of Peter Pan leads him to be the thing that he was fighting against. Anyway, but
all become that.
Yeah, well, that's the point. I mean, that's the thing. So yes, I mean, the Sprite stuff's kind of interesting, but we kind of, I mean, I've seen enough vampire films over the years that it's something that's been addressed, and I guess now it's being addressed in a superhero movie, so it's slightly different. But and so a lot of the things that there weren't a lot of surprises, I guess.
No, but it's very complicated. There's a lot of things going on, and a lot of threads that they're weaving together because the cast is so big.
Yeah,
and it takes place over 7,000 years.
I don't know that it.
And I don't mean confusing, complicated. I just mean there's a lot of moving parts that she's dealing with. That's what I mean by complicated.
I mean, we're introducing too many people. There's too much of a soap opera vibe for me.
I don't disagree.
It just did nothing for me.
Yeah. Okay. So,
but I should say this: I don't think it's horrible.
okay. So that was going to be my next question. If you look on social media right now, there's reviews are middling to this is the worst Marvel movie ever. I cannot, in good conscience, even marginally agree that this is the worst Marvel movie ever.
Well, here's part of the problem. Even in a lot of the bad Marvel movies, they usually have a character that makes the movie feel necessary, whether that be Black Widow in Iron Man 2 or Loki in the Thor films, or
right.
you know, there's an aspect that kind of goes, yeah, but at least we had this.
Right.
I don't know that we have at least we have this in the Eternals, other than what it sets up.
Right.
And that's kind of and
see
that
it's kind of
strange.
You with this one are exactly where, well, you're pretty close to where I was with Shang-Chi. I was like, it's fine, but it's more about what comes after.
Yeah.
But this kind of doesn't negate it, I guess, or nothing is running. Everything seems to be running at odds in the Marvel universe right now.
Sure.
Right now, I personally do not see an arrow or arrows pointing in even the same general direction.
Yeah.
Everyone seems to have their own true north at this point, and they seem to be running at odds. So everything, it's like, yeah, we'll see what it sets up. Well, we don't. I mean, are they going to run like 2 or 3 different main storylines at this point? Is Kang going to run through Wasp and maybe the Young Avengers or something, or I don't know. And then are the Celestials going to run through a mainstream? I don't know.
Well, and this movie even makes it more complicated because it sets up even more new characters, and it sets up a whole new trajectory.
Right.
That suggests that if they really wanted to, they could be doing phase 4 and 5 at the exact same time, which is not an unreasonable thing. It will confuse some people, but you could definitely do both storylines and have them head in 2 directions that don't necessarily have to match up.
Right.
The Eternals, it sets up, this whole, it opens the door for the Fantastic Four. It opens the door for Black Knight?
The Black Knight.
I think. Yeah. Yep. And not to be confused with Moon Knight.
Right. Yeah, Moon Knight. So don't get that confused. Yeah, don't get Black Knight confused with Moon Knight.
Which I have to ask you though. I mean, I never really got into the because Black Knight, for those who don't know, kind of ties into the old Arthur legends and things. I know you love that stuff.
I do.
Do we really need to have that inserted into the Marvel universe?
You could, but almost in a way where he would be, because eventually he kind of deals with the Avengers, if I recall. So he's kind of a rotating Avenger. But he's kind of one of those characters that you could use like an Ant-Man. I mean, Ant-Man's on his 3rd movie. I haven't figured that out yet. And I love Ant-Man, but like in terms of the overall Marvel universe, it doesn't really matter for Ant-Man the way they're using Ant-Man. So you could do the Dark Knight or the Black Knight as, sorry DC, but you use the Black Knight in that kind of way. He doesn't necessarily need. I don't know if he's going to get his own movies, but it's fine. He's a character that doesn't he's not an Iron Man, Captain America, Thor. He doesn't need to be that guy. And if they try to use him that way, it's not going to work.
It just seems to me, and I guess Thor is a lot of this the same way, is that they're and again this goes kind of back to the redundancy aspect. There are Arthur, we've seen lots of the legend of Arthur in those films, and I guess this would put a descendant in more of a modern sense, but it almost feels like, well, we have franchises or we have movies that have explored that sort of universe. Why don't you do Why don't you do,
It
do your
feels
Marvel
like there could have been
thing.
a better draw. Yeah.
maybe
from the pilot.
well, and from me, I look at it and go, well, okay, you want a British thing, so why aren't you doing Excalibur? And maybe they will be doing Excalibur. I don't know, but
well, they have to bring the mutants back before we can get to Excalibur. They could do Captain Britain and roll that into Excalibur down the road, and that probably would have been the way I would have gone.
And I would have been more excited because Captain Britain is more of a Marvel thing than sort of a mythological thing we've tied into the Marvel thing.
Exactly. So
I mean, to a degree, Thor to me has always felt gimmicky because he is, a god character stolen from other, literature or whatever. He's kind of dropped in, which that's also kind of fun. But so does that mean we're going to get rid of Thor and just replace him with, the Black Knight?
I don't know.
The more characters you introduce, I think you start to run the risk of the redundancy that you do see in comics. And there's there is a reason why some of these characters aren't as prominent as others. And this isn't always the case, but sometimes it's because they're just not that interesting.
Right, not in a cinematic sense. They work better in comic books. But let's go Excalibur, dude. Let's just go north of the border and do Alpha Flight.
I'm
totally down. Flight. I want Peter Dinklage to do all of the non mocap work for Puck. But that's just me. Yeah. I'm selfish like that. Where are you? If you're going to put a number on Eternals, then where do you fall?
A 6 or a 5?
See, I was, my ballpark coming out was like a 7. I was like, it's fine. Yeah, I'm probably more in the 6.5 now that we've had some time to digest it. It's fine. It is not the worst film. That's still the Dark World, and I don't care what Endgame did. It's still Dark World, and it's always going to be Dark World. That is the worst. Hopefully nothing beats that. If they beat Dark World, then it's time to stop. Then it is literally time to stop.
And so I think you almost have to see this film just to see what it does to set the next things. But I don't really have an intense desire to go back and see it again, or an intense desire to really see how these characters fit into the Marvel as we knew it. And they do a really brief explanation why we haven't seen them, and it's the same comic book the excuse that you would think we weren't allowed to, or we weren't going to, one of those, we had a moral code that we couldn't possibly break.
Well, literally, it's funny because it was literally, dude, not my job. And it's because of who they are, because they are not exactly what you might think going into the film, and they explain what they really are. So I don't want to just go blah.
No,
but it's literally not their job. They have one job, and that's all they're supposed to do.
And some of them know what that job is, and some of them don't actually know what that job is.
Which is
I don't know. There's some of the character dynamics don't work for me either. I don't know.
No, I was pretty unimpressed with Salma Hayek overall.
Yes.
Which is kind of sad because, like I said, I loved her in The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. When she was very Salma Hayek-y. But they're all very serious. But again, I think it's kind of a function of who they are. But then you get in the weird love triangle. Well, not even a love triangle. The love story. And there's some other stuff going on. But it's just, like I said, it's fine. I can tell you that my wife liked it, and I said, well, it doesn't really do. She goes, I don't care. She goes, the movie has to work by itself. She goes, I can't worry about whether. She goes, I don't know what's canon and what's not, and what ties into this and the other thing over that. She goes, I don't know. She goes, if I can't enjoy this movie, then she enjoyed it. She's not like she's not running around with her hair on fire, enjoyed it, but she's like, no. She goes, I enjoyed that. So for a lot of casual fans, they'll probably be okay. I think once you start trying to fit it into the big puzzle, that's when the problems really kind of expose themselves.
I don't know. I mean, for me, I couldn't enjoy it in the moment, and that because I think she's right. I think the only things that excite me about this movie is the fact of what it suggests might happen next. But obviously, there's also things that it suggests might happen next that I don't necessarily, I'm not excited about. So I don't know. I don't know.
Just weird. Oh, well, so there you go. So we're at like a 5 or a 6, and I'm at like a 6, 6.5. So, take that for what you will on Eternals. It does set some things up, but like I said, I don't know that those things necessarily are running parallel with other things.
Yeah.
That are supposedly being set up. So we'll see how this fleshes out. What next up is the Hawkeye series, and then Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then Doctor Strange. And then there's another series, right? Somewhere in there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So yeah, and then what is next summer? Oh, Ant-Man.
Yeah. And I think all eyes have to turn to Spider-Man because this is, as far as I'm aware, the end of his contract and Tom's contract.
Right. That's what I hear. So yeah, we will see. That's December 17th or something, I believe, Spider-Man. So we'll be holding out for that. But we get through Hawkeye first, and we'll see what happens there because we talked about Hawkeye when we talked about Black Widow. Yes. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. In terms of all of this garbage, but again, like I said, there's a lot of lanes of traffic, and right now it's a cloverleaf and not a freeway.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how it all shakes out. So that's it. That is Eternals in theaters, Friday, November 5th. We saw it in IMAX.
Yeah.
It was certainly big. It was very big and very, very loud. So there you go. That's what we have on that. We'll be back. We've got some more films coming out next week, which we will get to. But until we do, be good, stay safe, go see a movie if you're feeling comfortable. Prep for the holidays. We're into holiday season. We're getting through Halloween this weekend and Turkey Day and Christmas and supply chain woes.
The apocalypse.
And the apocalypse. So till next time, though, I'm Mark. That is Ryan. Bye, Ryan.
See you guys.
And we will talk to everyone later.